But now that brings a whole nother challenge because I can't speak for you. I'm 52, and there's some 50-ish people out there listening, 40s, 50s, some in their 60s, right? And in their mind, their biological clock is ticking. In fact, they got more time behind them than they have ahead of them. How do I maintain this space of curiosity that we speak of for discovery, but I'm looking at how much time I potentially have left? Shouldn't I already be in a relationship? Shouldn't I already be married? Like, those are some of the questions that I hear
Mm.
in social media. And yeah, I think I'm gonna pause right there and get your take on that.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I've never really done anything by the rules of the way that I was supposed
Sure.
to. I mean, I moved to Mexico by myself when I was 20. Like I never I never really fit in, but I always had a lot of different friends. So I wouldn't say like I was ever part of like some specific group. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the only time in my life where I tried to kind of conform was probably up until 14, and then I realized that that didn't work for me, and I was totally free to be who I was, and that's kind of the way that I've lived the rest of my life. Also, because I lived all over the world, different places where I didn't have a group to go conform to. It was just me, and so I think that kind of really solidified who I was as a person. But I think that everybody has their own path and their own journey, and it's so important to recognize that because we don't all start with this from the same place. We don't all have the same experience. We don't all have the same resources, and I don't know. So many things affect the course of our life, and it just would be doing ourselves a disservice to compare ourselves and be like, "Oh, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this by a certain time," because I don't know, things just don't work out like that. And I think one of the bigger lessons that I've learned just through, I mean, I have friends from literally all over the world, different ages and, countries and cultures and professions and stuff, is that like, especially the people that thought that they had it all figured out, like they, went to college right away, found a, partner or whatever, got married, had the kids right away, but had the house, had the, dog or whatever. That's not what happiness necessarily is. They might find themselves, with some kind of, because then it it's what they thought that they were supposed to do, and then they can't understand why it's not bringing them the fulfillment that they're supposed to have, because it's not only about like checking things off of boxes. You know what I mean? Like that's not life, and that's not fulfillment. And so I guess to me personally, that's not been the issue. But I think we always have to look past those things because who decided that that's what we're supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like who gets to decide? And yeah, I don't know. And I guess like I've never prescribed to those things, so for me, I didn't struggle with those, but I
Mhm.
know that that's a difficult thing, especially with I mean, certain cultures where you're really supposed to listen to what your family
Sure.
has set out for you, or who you're supposed to marry, or you need to have a certain number of children, or um but I mean, like I don't have children, and that's, I mean, I'm sure society doesn't love that, you know what I mean? Like, but I mean,
I love your response, and I want everybody to pay attention to where how she articulated her life going. And for me, I was in the army for 24 years, probably one of the most structured people in my circle outside of people that were in the army. But yet here we are, our lives have intersected, right? And so I think just that by itself is an example of what she's talking about. Like this ideal script of what life is supposed to look like. It moves outside of the realm of curiosity and discovery. So if you tell me, mom, dad, my life is supposed to look like this, I'm supposed to do this, this is, and we call it the American dream. You got it. Go to college, you know, get a career, get married, buy a house, have children. Children grow off to college, sell the big house, buy the smaller house, live off the difference. That's the American dream, right? And at the end of the day, I think on a large scale, you're seeing people are withdrawing from that dream because it became more of a nightmare than it was a dream. And I think the word that you were looking for, not that I'm assuming I know, right? But I think the word that you were looking for was regret or remorse, because I think that's what ends up happening a lot of times when you have people who live these structured lives. They get to a certain point where they feel like they regret some things about their life because they didn't get to experience this, they didn't do that, or they have some type of remorse because they realize that they made a decision far too soon in, you know, relationship, whatever that looks like. And they realize that, yeah, but this relationship that I'm in with this particular person, we never grew. We became the model of what everybody thought we should have been. But yet when we go home behind closed doors, it's like we don't even like each other anymore. So I think a lot of that tends to happen. And I'm totally against that mindset. And the reason why I asked that question, because I know that there are some people out there who think that way. And what I would submit to you is to perish the thought. Do not
Mhm.
ever compare your life to somebody else, right? If you have close friends, like there's nothing wrong with doing like a competitive comparison, right? Which, and when I say that, I mean, yeah, whatever they're doing, right? And you guys talk about it and share, like you can use those things as a competitive edge to keep yourself sharp and pressing forward. Because if sometimes we find that complacency sets in, right? Um, but again, don't look at what other people are doing. Don't compare them to your life and don't think that their life is the blueprint to your life, right? Maintain that curious edge of discovery and then just be excited about what the next day is going to bring. And if
Yeah.
for whatever reason your path and that other person's path intersect and intertwine and you guys find that you're moving in the right direction, then I don't believe that that's by happenstance. I believe that that's by divine design. Look into it, maintain the curiosity, the curious edge, because again, they may only be here for a time, season, or a reason. So that's the other thing. Don't be so quick to jump to an assumption that hey, you showed up at the right time. I was looking to get married, and look at what God did. No, that's not always true. You made that up. So right, respect the relationship that that showed up, and then just be curious. Be curious about yourself in that moment, how you're adding value to that person, and then you guys just see what the next day look like. And I think that's important as well. So I
Absolutely.
love your response.
And also understanding that like happiness means different things to different people. I mean, like what one person might really like living on a farm with like five kids and a lot of animals and waking up in the morning, and living a very simple life, whatever that might be heaven to them. And then somebody else might really like the corporate ladder or like, and I mean, and the thing is like there's nothing wrong with doing something different than you're expected as long as it's you feel like you're on aligned on that path. And the other thing I think it's funny, I had a funny story. Like when I was in Paris at a hostel, this is like when I was probably 20 years ago, but there was a guy who was like 35 and he'd done the whole corporate ladder thing and he just had quit his job and he like read a Hemingway book and he like moved to Paris. I mean, and there's people, for example, who are digital nomads that they don't have a house or a home per se. They've sold everything. They're living out of, two suitcases and just traveling around the world. And for them, that is freedom and that is fulfillment. And somebody else would be like, okay, I can't even imagine that. That sounds awful. Like, I want someplace to like hang my hat. I want to have, people, old friends and stuff like that. Because there's different lifestyles and they're not cut out for everybody. A lot of times, especially even living abroad, like people glamorize only the positive things about living abroad, and there are many, but there's also downsides as well. You are across the ocean, from your family and stuff like that, and that doesn't work for everybody. So it's like, just be careful about looking at social media and being like, that's the bar. Like whatever this person has, because one thing that I have learned is that you have no idea what is going on. You have no idea, especially with couples. The ones that are posting the most, apparently, statistically, a
Absolutely.
lot of times, those are the ones that are having the most, the most
Oh my
problems.
gosh, I've been saying that for the longest. Like
Yeah,
if if I have a, let's just use the word happy. If I have a happy family, happy life, all of that other great stuff, I'm not posting all that on social media. Like I don't know why you would do it. So I really do believe that the people who do all of those things are the people who are just trying to give the facade of happiness.
yeah,
But yeah, just my thoughts. But I'm glad you said that as well. I want to
yeah.
change the dynamics just a little bit because you said be careful with looking at social media. And I'm agreeing with you. Be careful looking at social media. and be careful looking at media. And I'm gonna tell on myself, and we're going back to one of my words because words mean things.
Okay.
Right? I have anybody who knew me, I used to watch the Weather Channel all the time. Like I'd be that person. I stopped watching CNN, like I think right around the time I was getting ready to retire out the army. But then I transitioned from CNN to the Weather Channel. Talk about going out of the frying pan into the fire. And I would just let it play. I could be doing whatever it is that I'm doing, and the Weather Channel is playing. And so over time, what I realized is that I developed a natural dislike for severe weather. And it's almost like I could feel it within me whenever there's a severe weather prediction coming about. Okay. And I know I'm not the only person who experienced this, right? I know a lot of people may experience this for whatever reason, one reason or the other. But I'm telling you where mine came from. It came from the overstimulation of the Weather Channel because it's not just the weather reports they show. They have their own little TV shows, and a lot of their TV shows are about extreme weather events that took place, right? So, for a person who experienced these somatic triggers, what would your response be to that person?
You know what I'm gonna say.
I do.
You know that I'm gonna say EFT tapping, but I think it's important to protect your energy. And I think like especially we live in a world that's so like we have stimuli everywhere, all day, every day, and I think it is important to especially like people that sleep with the TV on, like don't do it. You have to give your brain some peace at some point, like.
Yes,
And that's where I think though, like if you tend to get triggered by certain things, I always think like with EFT tapping, I mean, you know that I'm gonna say that, of course, like
of course.
but like but even like don't constantly be avoid just constant stimulation. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like and I think that also means being on social media for or playing video games, like having to have entertainment be a full-time and constant pattern in our day so that you can't just ever sit with yourself or just cook dinner without listening. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and I know that that's a hard thing these days, but I think if your body is always in an activated state where we're receiving information and receiving sounds and buzzes and I mean, like me personally, my phone has been off like sound wise for like the last 15 years. Like I don't want to hear it. I don't want to like do
Yeah.
anything because I want it to be like a choice when I pick it up, then I can check my messages because otherwise the whole day, like you're just getting beep, beep, beep and bombarded and stuff like that. But with triggers, like, I mean, I always, when you start feeling like you're getting a little bit activated, you can tap with both hands on the collarbone and you just breathe in through your nose for 3 and out through your mouth for 3. And it's just, and it will just kind of calm your nervous system. Because when you start getting that physical stress response, what a lot of times makes the stress and the anxiety worse is that we're start thinking in our head like, oh my God, now I'm starting to get stressed. Oh my God,
Yep.
this is bad. Like I got to go somewhere in an hour. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, and it's that heightened, that incremental, like heightened emotion that just kind of makes the whole situation worse. Whereas if we can kind of at the very beginning stop it and just kind of calm ourselves down and ground ourselves,
Yeah.
then we can manage our emotional regulation so we don't go and have a full trigger response.
Yeah. I love that. And that was a true story, by the way. I want to make sure I'm saying that. Um, I was fortunate enough to recognize what it was because I just started coaching myself in that particular moment. And then it's like, why is this? And why do we feel like this? And I started researching. It's like, okay, you're concluding that, right? So I've automatically concluded in my head the what if, right? So then I
Mm.
had to reverse engineer all of that and come up out of that. And then, believe it or not, I started doing some breathing techniques, right?
Yeah.
And I tend to, I may have been doing it wrong, I'm be honest with you, but I just started tapping. I'm like, you know what, let me calm down and
That's fine.
take your
Yeah.
mind off of it completely. Go find something else to think about. I think
Yeah.
that helps because I don't think we really like consider how powerful your mind is. Like, I mean, your mind is so powerful that you can literally conclude the worst possible outcome of a thing and you'll create anxiety for yourself. But in retrospect, if I'm in a space of anxiety, if I reverse engineer it, then I can pull myself out of it as well. And so I wanted to make sure I'm asking that because I made the scenario about weather and extreme weather patterns, but it's not just that. It could be going around somebody who you know that potentially triggers you and do so all the time. Hey, it's warming up. Family reunions are coming. And I know we know how it is when you get around some family member, right? So
Especially these days with politics. I mean, you don't know what somebody's going to say. You're like, oh,
right.
okay. I'm
Mhm.
cool as a cucumber. I don't know what anyone's going to say about this topic, but I'm not going to be, I'm not going to take the bait.
That's it. That's it. And you know, it's funny you say that. I mean, especially in the realm of politics. You look at right now, we are in the potential of another war and all kind of so people have mixed emotions about these things, and these are things that they can't control the outcome of. And so to talk about it, to hear somebody else talk about it, especially in support of one person over the other, like it literally makes people angry in a moment. And so I think it's
Mhm.
important for us to understand these things.
That's why grounding beforehand is like, I mean, I ground myself every single morning.
Mhm.
That's a thing that I do because I just noticed that if I don't do that, I tend to be just more reactive, like little thing. Like it could just be like I don't know, I spilled coffee or something. You know what I mean? And just like instead of like, when you've taken just 5 to 10 minutes and, and
Vegetable.
just take a couple minutes to ground yourself in the morning, then like, if something happens that you're like, oh, okay, fine, I spilled the coffee. All right, I'll like wipe it up instead of having, like a little mini meltdown before you've even had your first cat. So
Absolutely. I have a to add to that for just for you guys want to. I actually have a grounding mat. And in the morning, I actually go stand on it and I do a version of meditating that way.
mhm,
And I don't think you recognize until you reflect, but I don't think you recognize how much value that is. And if you can do it multiple times a day, like, in the morning when you wake up, during lunchtime, and in the evening before you go to sleep, I think you'll find that it's just work wonders. You don't even have to go out and buy a mat. You can do exactly what Andrea was talking about. You can just simply do some meditative practices 3 times a day, and that will ground you so that you're not overstimulated and just experiencing some type of anxiety throughout your day. So I love that. I love that. Okay, I didn't ask 2 questions back to back, so now I got to open the floor for you.
I don't know. I put me back on the spot. Okay. How do you how do you deal with triggers that come up emotionally that you weren't expecting when you can't prepare in advance? Like just something happens out of nowhere. What's the best way that you always suggest to do that?
I got 2 responses: duct tape and humanity. No, I'm joking. Um, the duct tape is the preferred response. To, no, I'm joking. Um, I think I think a lot of times things happen for a reason. I'll start there. Will you be in a position to respond optimally in every situation? No, you won't. I think that's the moment where grace shows you yourself in that moment. I think that's an important moment, right? You might be even disappointed in your response. That's okay. But it just revealed to you another opportunity where you can grow and become better. So
Mhm.
now in that particular moment, I just was faced with a situation and revealed the trigger in me that I did not know that I had. Great. Now I have something to work towards. That's an
Mhm.
exciting moment for me. I'm just being honest. And I think that's how everybody needs to look at it. Don't look at it from the standpoint of depression. I'm mad at myself. But no, look at it when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. So instead of being mad at yourself or disappointed in yourself, be happy that you discovered that moment. Now you have something tangible to work with. I am a firm believer in the realm of faith. My behavior is the evidence that I am looking for to move closer to the thing that I'm hoping and believing for. So
Mhm.
now when my behavior shows up because I just got triggered. Why? Because little old sweet lady just pulled out in front of me without looking both ways. I'm telling you, it's just, oh, I'm telling you. Um,
True story.
oh goodness. Listen, that's real. I got to work on that constantly, right? Like, why are you driving? Shouldn't your kids be driving? I'm joking. Not joking, but serious. But yes, those moments revealed to me like, hey, you ain't as great as you think you are. And that's okay. You need those moments to stay humble. And so in those moments to say, hey, you know what? You're going to be that age at some point in time. Your kids aren't going to always be available to you. You're still going to have to get the doctor appointments. You're probably going to want to go to the store. You probably just want to go someplace like the mall and just get your steps in, whatever. 70
Mm,
plus years old and driving. Do you have the response time you did when you was 20 something years old? Absolutely not. But you would
mm,
expect that somebody else will have grace behind the wheel, the same level of grace that you're trying to learn in this moment. And I think when we look at that, we can change our perspective of our response at that moment, then become proactive in turning that into a space to where I now have more patience. I now have better understanding in that moment. So now the next time it happens, my response is just different. And when you start seeing the difference of response, it's not going to be like a light switch. It's not going to be night and day. You may find that one moment you were furious. The next time it happened, you were angry. The next time it happened, you were frustrated. The next time it happened, you were understanding, right? Still kind of got to you a little bit, but I have a better understanding of it. The next
mhm,
time it happens, now instead of any of those things, you're like, please get to where you're trying to get to safely. See, that's the evolution of the change. It's not just a drastic change, right? Please get to where you're trying to get to safely. You have compassion for those people. And I'm just using the driving scenario because it's real to me. Just like I know it's real to a lot of other people out there, right? And so now when you go from being angry at the you guys seen them, the young, the older, gentlemen and older women with the big old shades on driving. Yeah. And it's not their fault. Age happens to all of us, whether you like it or not. So you go from being frustrated that they're on the road doing 25 into 50 to being compassionate, hoping that they get to their destination in a safe manner. And I think that's what it looks
mhm.
like.
Absolutely. I love that, and I would also add, like, I think what really shifted my perspective on especially, like, little things, I don't remember which workshop was this, but it was somebody was like, "Whatever you're doing that's reactive, you're giving your power away." So
Mm,
it's like it was like, why would you give some old lady at 8 a.m. the power to ruin the rest of your day? And I know that, like, I mean, I used to be like this 15 years ago. If I had like spilled my coffee in the morning, I'd be like, "Ah, my day is ruined. Everything is, it's all horrible."
she just
And
turned into the Incredible Hulk, y'all. Like, for
well, because then the thing is that you spiral. Then you go outside, then you like, you trip on the stairs and then you rip your coat pocket on the door. I mean, like, one thing happens another. And like that used to happen to me all the time until I learned to kind of emotionally regulate and stuff like that. But that reframe really helped me. Like, why
yes.
are you going to give your power away to some little old lady in the morning? You know what I mean? Like, or just because you spilled your coffee in the morning. Like, don't give your power away to those little tiny moments and give it the power to destroy your whole day or week. You know what I mean? Like, um, yeah, I think that's super important. I had a follow up question though, an interesting one. So, given that, because obviously, like, we only have power sometimes over ourselves and our own
Mhm,
reactions. But how do you advise people to handle? I mean, especially this day and age where there's just so much going on all
mhm.
over the place, and sometimes people can feel really powerless about being able to do anything. How do you tell people to deal with that?
Um, I think that's a great question, by the way. Um, I believe wholeheartedly, and this is not me trying to pigeonhole anybody else into my belief system or belief patterns, right? I believe that there is one true source of power, and we're all reflexive or vessels of that power. So I think when we look at the space of like this total human concept that I'm living, the human experience is what I tend to call it, right? In this whole aspect of the human experience, how much am I opening myself up for to be a vessel of that power? In retrospect to it, a lot of times we tend to close ourselves off to it with anger and frustration and animosity and those things. Well, if we had this, I think it's called a Killian camera. If you take the picture of a person or a plant or whatever, you'll see an aura around them. That's
Mm,
your like your energy output. Well, when you're angry, depressed, frustrated, you got some animosity, all these things, like your energy output is very close to your skin. But when you're in the space of gratitude and happy and expression and things of that nature, your energy goes out to here. Well, it's not by happenstance that the people who have the low energy, the low aura, those people are susceptible to sickness, disease, things of that nature. But these people, but the aura that's out of here, these people are expansive. They're discovering. The opportunities are open up here and there. So what I would say is that in the space of where a person feels powerless, I don't think number one, they have a true understanding of the concept of their identity. So let's go back to that concept. Let's define that concept for you because this concept creates the aura that we're talking about, right? So when you go back and
mm,
look at those concepts, understand what your values are, like you talked about, like what are the things that your identity is rooted in, right? And then from there, now you can embody that identity and then you can posture yourself properly so you can express it. So we go back to the beginning, go back to the root cause of it. No one ever made you feel powerless. It was just that it was pliable within your mind. You were unsure and you were looking for somebody to make you feel powerful. But change the dynamics of that. You don't need a person to make you feel powerful when you understand who you are, when you understand the concept of your identity, you understand that identity, you posture yourself properly, right? And then you express it the right way, then you automatically feel powerful because you become a reflection of that power source, right? Andrea is awesome. She has no more power than me and vice versa. And you know what? I appreciate and respect the power that she brings because her power looks different than mine. She reflects it differently. That's all it is. And you know what? It is value added 100% of the time she shows up. I didn't have to say that. They felt it soon as they seen you come on the screen, right? There's a different aura about that's my point. It's a different aura about you. And I think a lot of times we look at other people and say, man, she is just so awesome. She's amazing. I want to be like her. No, you can't be like her. You have to be like you. And the problem is you never took the time to figure out who you were.
okay. Thank you for
Are
your
you,
kind
are you
words, Dwayne. Like,
sitting over there?
God, thank you.
My goodness. But that is, I love your question so much because that is true. There are some people, and I know we tend to use phrases like, well, don't minimize yourself, blah, 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 blah. Well, really,
Mhm,
that person who has minimized themselves, they minimize themselves because they're looking for somebody to make them feel powerful. You don't need another
mhm,
person to make you feel powerful. Go back to the source. Understand who you were created to be, and then live in that curiosity, that curious discovery, and then just become excited about life again. Once you like when we go back and identify what that looks like, because this kind of goes back to the whole relationship thing, right? That we talked about in the beginning. Like some of us, we exist in the space in the power exertion of another person. And as long as we're around that, then we're just, oh, well, just get to reflect their power. Well, that sounds
yeah,
great. That sounds great until that no longer is there, until that person passed away of old age, and then you're left to live the remainder of your life without that person. Or the relationship didn't work out, or something tragic happens, and now you're left with the kids in the house, and what like it's like it almost feels like your whole world is lost. Your whole world isn't lost. You can get back, you can build yourself back up by recognizing that, look, I was created for a particular reason. And once I go back and understand that, just become expressive of that. And I'm telling you, like once you change that dynamic, like you said, once I don't need you to make me feel good about me. I feel good about me when I wake up in the morning. Now, can I
mhm.
put myself in a situation where I feel better? Yep. But it started in the beginning when I woke up. Because if I woke up in a funk, in a bad attitude, and I love your analogy of the coffee, like, blah, right? I love the coffee analogy. If I need the coffee, what happens when I go to the kitchen cabinet and forgot to go shopping because I didn't get any more K-cups? Like, oh my God, this is going to be the worst day of my life. And it goes downhill from there. But now if I just look at the coffee, like, yeah, it's coffee, it just adds to now. It's not the
Mhm.
source of. So now the coffee doesn't take my power. See, that's we do that a lot, we put it in something else and say, I need this thing. Don't talk to me in the morning until I get my coffee. Man, is it that bad? Like, and I know people like that. Is it really that bad that you need this hit of caffeine to make you feel good enough to have a conversation with another human being? Well, oh my goodness. When that caffeine runs out, I hate to be around.
I think it's more like I'm not prepared to have a deep conversation yet because my brain is not on. So
Oh,
patience is needed.
that wasn't you, was it? That's not you. You're not that person.
No, I could talk to people in the morning, but I am not able to have a deep conversation where somebody needs to bring something important to my attention at
Yeah.
7 a.m. That's not happening. Like that, I'm not in the right space to receive that,
Yeah.
like a deep conversation. I need to be awake and present and have,
So I would tell on me at this moment. At one point in time, I was that person. And it got to a point I intentionally weaned myself off coffee. It was I went cold turkey. I went cold turkey. I stopped drinking coffee for like maybe 3 months. And then it was like, okay, I'm good now. I don't need the coffee. And I'm still having these empowering conversations in the morning. Right. So once I did that, then I went back to coffee. And what I found is that when I went back to coffee, I can't even finish a whole cup of coffee now.
Oh,
So
really?
I literally make a cup of coffee and I drink half of it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even without coffee though, like I'm like a slower person in the morning. I like to kind of ease into my day. I'm more
Mhm.
kind of like alert. And I mean, like right now it's 6:30 p.m. I'm like, I'm on fire. Like I could be up for the next 4 hours. I'm always kind of like a more of an evening person. I'm
For
just
sure.
my brain is just more awake. And so I feel more, I don't know, like I can have a conversation and feel more connected to people. And also in terms of my levels of communication, I'm just better in the evening or the
Yeah.
afternoon than I am in the morning. I mean, I could sit there, but I'm like, I'm not as
Yeah.
as uh, present and alert in a positive, conducive way for a conversation.
See, you and I would be great business partners because I'm just the opposite. I
Oh, really?
am from in the morning, like people like, where do you get it from? Like
It's on
I wake
fire at 5 a.m.
yeah, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm intentional about and okay, let me be honest. Somewhere between 4:30 and 5:30, depending upon how I feel. Just being honest. But once
Yeah.
I get up, I am up. I am
Yeah.
moving, I'm doing something. If you ever talk to me at 7 or 8 o'clock, I'm wired. I'm wired for sound. I'm ready for it. Yeah, absolutely. Now, once we cross the threshold of noon, and right now it's like 1:30 p.m. Once we cross the threshold of noon, I start doing this. 6
Yeah.
p.m. your time, I'm telling you, I'm in a recliner someplace like this.
Exactly. And that's
Exactly.
why it's important to understand people because otherwise it's like if they're like, all right, Dwayne, 7:30 p.m. We're having an important talk, and you're like, oh God.
We can. I would definitely need coffee or something before that conversation. Absolutely. But to your point, so this is a great business point for those people who are out there who are business developers, business strategists, even if you're in corporate America. Schedule your time around your it's called energy management. Schedule
Mhm.
your most important meetings during the time when you have the most when you're most alert and have the highest output of energy. Because
Yep.
that way now you're giving that meeting the best version of you. If
Mhm.
you're like me, and as the day progresses, you start to come down off the mountaintop, then later on that might be your planning periods, things of that nature. So just kind of look at, structuring your time according to. And it's not a perfect fit. It won't always work, but if you get to control the outcome, then do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously when you have a team, you have to be considerate of everybody. Try to find some medium because it's never gonna it's hard if you got a team of 10 people, to find the exact time for everybody. So you gotta, compromise a little.
I can listen. I'm laughing because I can see this. Like you and I, we got a strategy meeting in the morning, and I come in like, okay, listen, we're gonna take over the world. Andrew, like, yeah,
Oh,
whatever, man. Just hurry up so I can go back to my office.
I mean, I worked in the office for years, and I had to wake up at 6 and commute and everything like that. And I'm there, present. I'm present, but like I'm not creative. I'm not getting my good thoughts out. I'm not communicating efficiently until after lunch, and then I'm like, everyone else is tired and ready for a nap, and I'm like, you know, like,
Like Andrew, I'm going. I'm getting ready to go to the gym. Okay, great. I'm starting to get a
Yeah, I do. I go to the gym in the afternoon. I love it. Like I
Oh my goodness. This is so good. Thank you for this. I think my next, let's see, my next word. Words mean things, y'all. My next word is yeah, there we go. Let's go with the resistance paradox. And the resistance paradox is a psychological phenomenon where the effort to resist, avoid, or fight a challenging thought, emotion, or situation actually causes it to persist or grow strong. And I'll give you guys a perfect example. For those of you who read the Bible, one of the difficult things about understanding the law, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, the more you focus on thou shalt not, the more you will, right? That's what makes it so difficult. It's almost like me saying, if I'm a smoker, I smoke cigarettes and I want to stop smoking cigarettes and I'm constantly thinking about cigarettes, it's virtually impossible for me not to smoke cigarettes at that point. So, that said, considering the resistance paradox, um, a person who has high anxiety. In fact, let's kind of bring it to a realm where people want to grow. Let's just say I'm a person I want to branch out into public speaking, but I am deathly afraid of standing in front of people and talking in an open forum. I have a high degree of anxiety when it comes down to do it. I've tried it before, and I did meetings and things of that nature. And yeah, I knew what I was talking about, but it's just that I couldn't calm down. I found myself being extremely nervous, right? And I know that you're gonna give us some perfect EFT tapping techniques to help me get there, right? How would you help me to understand not only can I do it, but it's waiting for me to do it? How could you get me to get off of that just get off of that whole thing of resistance and then step boldly into public speaking?
So usually, like, the place to start is when you're resisting something, ask yourself, what's the fear behind it? Because usually when we're resisting, so for example, with public speaking, it's probably not the speech itself, or that maybe you don't feel prepared. It's probably more along the lines of most people worry about, like, what if I look stupid? What if I mess up my words? What if my friends and family see it and think it's dumb? What am I, whatever? And the shame or the embarrassment that we would feel if that happened. So it's like we're projecting this fear onto a future thing. So if you want my personal advice for how I would do this, because I've done this, I mean, for example, I used to feel very uncomfortable with podcasts, and now I've done tons of them. But like I had to start from this place where I pushed myself to do it. But if you want me to tell you with tapping how I would handle this, I would, like, start on the side of the hands, and you would sit there and be like, just let your kind of brain roll, just kind of like let it kind of sift through the thoughts and fears and be like, okay, what is it that I'm actually afraid of? So maybe it's like, for most people, it's like, even though I'm afraid of this speech, I feel like I'm going to look stupid. I feel like I'm going to say something wrong. I feel like everybody's going to laugh at me and I'll be so embarrassed. I'll never be able to show myself at the office again or whatever. But I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then you go through and you just get it out. Get everything, like, what if they laugh? What if I trip? What if I, forget what I'm supposed to say? What if my boss looks at me and yawns, whatever? And you just keep going, and you keep going through every single what if, and then go through your emotions like, okay, I feel really worried about this. I'm really terrified. I'm scared. Because a lot of times what we need to release is the fears. Like, a lot of times we keep them inside and we won't actually admit them to ourselves, and this is what actually causes it to get worse. Just exactly what you're talking about. We tell ourselves, like, okay, we're fine, like, I'm fine, I got this, and your brain is like, you liar, you don't got anything. So you have to be able to tell your body, be like, okay, you know what, I admit it, I am freaking terrified, like, I am really, really afraid of what's going to happen. You get that all out through your system, every single last little what if that you need to say. I'm scared, I'm terrified, whatever you need to do. Maybe you're even angry because you agreed to do something that you don't feel good about now. Because then once you get that all out, you can go to the positive and empowering affirmations. Affirmations are so positive, but if you don't clear out all of the negative and the fears and the resistance. It's like polishing a dirty plate, like doesn't do anything. And so then you can be like, okay, I'm learning and growing. I've prepared. I am good enough. I, have overcome a lot of things in my life. It's just one more thing. And just keep going through and talking yourself up. Like, you know what, Andrea? Like, you do got this. Like, it's fine. It doesn't need to be the best thing in the world. Like, you're going to do it, but whatever. And by the time that you get through that whole process, depending on how, long you have, but you could do it for 5 minutes, you could do it for 30, but you're going to feel like you've reframed something and shifted it. But you
Yeah.
got to let yourself articulate and be honest about the feelings that you're having. And like, why are you resisting it? Why are you afraid? What's the worst that could happen? So that you can get to the other side. And that's how, and I've literally done this before presentations. Like I had my master's program, I had to present for FC Bayern, and I was just like, oh my God, what if they think it's boring? Like, oh God, what if they
I love that. I love that. I love your response, first of all, because I heard a lot of goodness in there, right? Being honest with yourself about how you feel. That's what I was hearing during the first iteration of TAPS, right? Going through all the what if scenarios. Every what if scenario that you can like have created in your mind, just put them all out there. And then
Mhm.
come back again and then replace them with empowering statements. I am good enough. I'm loved. I'm awesome. I got this, right? All of those
Mhm.
things. And instead of just like power sweating through it and then just coming out the others like super soaked armpits and like, that was, I don't know how good, I don't know how I did. Yeah, no, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like throwing me in a pool of water in the deep end. I'm gonna come out one way or the other. It won't be pretty though. You know what I'm saying? That's not the goal here. The
Yeah.
goal is to be professional and present in such a way that you are not only proud of the outcome, but whoever you're presenting to, they got the best value of it. One of the things that, because I do some contracting work for the cyber school as well. And so I end up talking with a lot of captains, lieutenants, so forth and so on, leaders in the army. And we talk about public speaking all the time. And I told them, and I really do believe this wholeheartedly. And this is to me the backside of everything you just said. The reason why you're nervous is because you're focused on yourself. When you
Mhm.
learn to value the people that you're speaking to more than your value and how you're feeling about what they see when they see you, then you'll stop being so nervous. A couple of things factor in. Number one, you got to do rehearsals. You got to rehearse, man. I can't stress that enough. You got to rehearse on the equipment that you're going to use. You got to rehearse standing in front of the mirror. You got to rehearse in front of people that you know that will give you honest feedback, right? So that way, being the subject matter expert is the first thing. But then you have to value the people that you're serving. Focus more on serving them than you are focused on what they see when they see you. Because that's really what a lot of the what ifs come from. What do they think about what I'm wearing? What do they think about my shoes? What if I stutter? Who cares? I'll be the first one. No one cares. I am not a polished speaker whatsoever. You're going to get the ums, you're going to get the stutters, you're going to get the speed talk where I get to talking in cursive when I get excited. You'll get all of that. And here's the best part about it. When I'm done, I pray that what I gave you was value. And at the end of the day, I am 100% open to feedback because you can say, hey, you know what? That was pretty good information you was putting out. But man, you were speaking so fast, I couldn't understand nothing you were saying. To me, that's positive feedback. To somebody else, they might get depressed because you just gave me something to work on. And as long as I walk away better than what I was when I went into it, then I think that's a win, right? And so maybe I didn't serve this audience the best that I possibly could. I get them next time. That's my motto. I get them next time. And I promise you, the next time I will serve them better than I served the previous audience. That's how you do it. So what are the implications behind what I'm saying? Don't just book one, book multiple ones, right? Use the, okay, let me back up first because there's something I wanted to say I forgot. Unpolished speaker, like I said. No one would have ever guessed that she was ever nervous with podcasting. Never.
Oh yeah, I was.
I promise you, you were no more nervous than what I was. Okay, let me back up. You're talking to somebody who used to run from a camera when they was young. You pull out a camera, I was gone. Just like that. I'm telling you, if I caught you trying to take my picture, I would turn my head. That was me. When I first started off podcasting, this is probably about 4 years ago now. I started off audio podcasting because I didn't want to do it in front of the camera. Then somebody said, "Hey man, a lot of good information you're sharing. You might want to turn the camera on." I'm like, okay,
You're
fine.
right.
Yeah, fine. So I did it, and I'm gonna be honest with you. It was a friend of mine. She asked me because I was procrastinating because we had this meeting that we had every month called a coaches meeting, and all of us are certified coaches, and we get in there and we'll talk. And I will never forget. At the end of every meeting, we'll say, "Well, what are you working on? What are you working on? What are you working on? What are you working on?" And I put out in the meeting, "I'm gonna start podcasting." They said, "Okay, great, awesome." And so coming back the next meeting, her name is Natasha. Natasha said, "Hey, how's podcasting coming?" And you know how it is. Like, well, see, what had happened was, yeah, yeah. And she asked me a question, and I know this wasn't her intent, but she asked me a question, and the question was, "How can I help?" And when she asked me that, it almost made me feel, and again, this wasn't her intent, right? It almost made me feel that I let them down when I came
Mm,
back the next month and said I haven't started yet. And I said, and I told her I was honest. I said, I appreciate you wanting to help, but really, if I'm honest, nothing. I just need to stop procrastinating and do it. And because of what I thought when she asked that question, I turned the camera on 2 weeks later. And from that point on, good, bad, or indifferent. I'll be honest with you. The first few, because I was so focused on what this isn't. I don't think I could have said this, but I could have said this. I stuttered here. I was doing all of that. So I refused to do it live. I would do recordings and edits, recordings, edits. And then one day I like, you know what? Let's do it live. Let's do it. I hit the button, we went live. Whatever it was, that's how it was. It came out. And I think when we stop focusing on ourselves and realize that no one is expecting you to be perfect. They're expecting you to be honest. They're expecting you to
mm,
be authentic. That's the thing that people value more than your perfection. And in all actuality, the perfection thing is what you're doing to yourself, not anyone else doing to you. When you realize that part, then you be like, you know what? This is a very relaxed, like I am very relaxed. Like I can't, like this is, I feel like Andrea's sitting right here beside me and we're just having a conversation. But I do know, in my opinion, I hope so. Y'all can tell me otherwise. I do believe that this conversation that we're having is not only valuable to other people, but it's helping somebody someplace. Even, especially this public speaking piece right here.
mm,
Somebody right now wants to be a public speaker. They have something that somebody in their niche is needing from them. And the reason why that person has not gotten it yet is because you're procrastinating. You're
mhm.
afraid to stand in front of people and say, I'm here to serve. So look at it from that standpoint. I'm off my soapbox now.
No, I love it. No, that is so helpful because like you said, there is somebody out there that that is generally gonna get a lot of value from what you just said. I mean, and that's super helpful, and I think it's like, there's like some billboard thing, and it was like, your first podcast is gonna suck. Your first, Instagram reel is gonna suck. Like, but you can't be afraid to start because I mean, you can only get better. I mean, and I don't even listen to my old ones just because, like, I mean, I could, but I kind of had to in order to push through that fear. I was just like, nope, all right, I did it. I did it. I was happy with it, and maybe at some point I'll be so good at speaking publicly that like I can go back and critique myself. But I'm just happy that I got to a point where it's where I feel comfortable doing it. But it's also a matter of just practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just keep doing it, keep pushing yourself a little bit more, and also like for public speaking. I always wanted to do something like Toastmasters, like I just think that's such a valuable resource. I mean, and when you see especially the competitions of these people and you're like, wow, like that. I mean, that is power. Really being able to use your voice like that and feel confident in like storytelling. I mean, it's just amazing. It's something I should do that this year, you know.
That's one of the things I actually recommend to them. I tell them because If they do Toastmasters, and you got to realize their schedule is very tight because of
Mm,
how long they're in school. If they find time to do Toastmasters, that means they're very serious about being a public speaker.
mhm.
And I tell people Toastmasters is available, right? Um, it takes time out of your schedule, of course, but I think you're going to get a lot of value from it. But I want to go back to what you said about your first podcast is going to be your worst one, right? Absolutely right. I can't tell
Yeah,
you, I can't stress that enough. So hurry up and get it done. You know what I'm saying? That's the
yeah,
key. Like whatever it's just like getting a job. Like when you first got that job, you weren't good at your job. You just wanted to make sure that you did a good job. And
yeah,
because you were so focused on doing a good job, it was like mistakes were made and so forth and so on. But then when you stop focusing on doing a good job because you got a little time under your belt, you focused on serving the people, not doing a good job. Like
exactly.
it doesn't change wherever you go. Like the best doctors that you're going to encounter in the hospital are the people who love serving the people, or the doctors who love serving the people that they encounter. The ones that you don't like are the ones who are full of themselves and think that they're the best thing that they offered the medical profession since they graduated. It
Yeah.
doesn't change. It's the same thing across the board. So yeah, I greatly appreciate your answer. Um,
The other thing too, like there was somebody I was talking to the other day, and like for their business, I think like if you have your own business, one of the things that's hard to overcome is posting on social media, especially if you're like normally a private person and stuff like that. And the person I was talking to, they were like, "Oh my god, like I've been waiting 2 years or whatever." I'm like, honestly, the problem is is more that nobody's gonna see it than somebody that is see it. So as soon as you can just start posting and get yourself out there, get yourself used to it, so that you can create a message that's going to really resonate with people. That's going to be the journey, not that you posted the first time. And I know that it is a milestone and it's hard because we are, oh God, what if it doesn't look good and it's not the best video I made on Canva or like whatever. But you have to start so that you can get better. You just have to. Nobody comes out perfect. Like, I mean, unless you want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on some, brand production company. And like, if you have that, awesome. Good.
yeah,
But most people are, you got to start from zero and get better.
absolutely. I'll be the first person to tell you I am the master of like mediocre social media content. I'm just gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think we're down to a few minutes left, and I do got one more word,
Okay.
right? And I was kind of struggling where I wanted to go. Um, and I think because we started in the realm of emotions, I think we're in there. And this one is alchemy,
Mm.
emotional alchemy. Now, and again, I think a lot of times we just get just super confused in our own mind when we hear certain words. The word alchemy is just simply saying from like lead to gold, right? So the process of transforming challenging, negative, or base emotions such as fear, anger, or sadness into a positive, constructive experience or gold, like insight, resilience, and clarity. So, if you don't mind, because we talked about a lot of things. We talked about, failed relationships and, loss of identity. We talked about public speaking just now. We talked about a number of different things today. And there are some people I believe that are listening, whether it's failed relationship, whether it's profession, whether it's making a transition from profession into the business culture of the family dynamics. That's a thing as well. Um, how can you help them based upon everything that you know as an awesome coach, as the awesome coach that you are? How can they go from lead to gold, whether it's from coming out of the, again, corporate structure into creating a family business with husband and wife and creating a legacy with their own family, whether it is coming from the feeling of nothingness after a failed relationship to realizing that they are way better than what they ever imagined even before they started said relationship. Like what is it? And I'm just spitballing right now because I don't want to pigeonhole you in your thoughts and your response when it comes down to emotional alchemy.
Hmm. I don't know. I guess for starters, like the first thing when anything happens is always, what is the lesson I'm supposed to be taking away from here? Like what tools do I have now, and what would I need to maybe handle the situation better in the past, and especially um, figuring out what the first small action is that you can use to move forward. Because I think one of the biggest things when something happens is we feel really stuck. We feel like, paralyzed. We don't know where to go. And so figuring out what small, step in the right direction. And then also I liked that you mentioned curiosity earlier. Start getting curious. Okay, what are my options? There was like a Brian Tracy video that I saw, and it was like, whenever you feel stuck and paralyzed, get a piece of paper and write down 20 options that you have. Because usually, when I get stuck with one, and like, okay, I have to either it has to be all or nothing. I have to either quit my job or, launch everything tomorrow. And there's so much gray area in there that usually it was, he said, like, take 20 options and sit there for 30 minutes and do it, because you realize that you have a lot more options, and you'll be able to figure out what is the most appealing and what is the most, like, the best starting point right now. I don't know if I answered your question there, but like, sorry, can you ask the more specific question? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So I'll make it business related first, right? Let's just say I've reached the end of my military career, which I did. And from there, let's just say I was looking at going from the traditional work setting into kind of like a business for me and my family. I want to create a business for me, my wife, and my kids, because that's going to become the legacy that I leave from generation to generation to generation. But I don't necessarily feel equipped. I'm struggling. I'm trying to understand, how do I go from lead on this hand to gold in this arena? Because I can go from lead to lead. Just because I start the business does not necessarily mean I achieve gold, because I may be treating the business like another, job. So how do you help me, like, restructure my whole mindset, restructure my being to recognize that gold is available?
What is it you're trying to achieve?
I don't know. Let's just say, coaching business. I want to become a coach. There you go.
Okay. What would you need to become a coach?
Say again?
What would you need to become a coach?
Well, I would need, so I see what you're doing. So I'm gonna play the perfect client here. I would need, in my opinion, and I want to answer the question back then, not right now. So just being honest. I would need the confidence in being able to, like, the knowing that I can actually do it, because I was in the Army for 24 years and my background is field artillery. I've never worked in that arena. I've done a lot of, counseling in the Army when it comes down to helping them grow and develop. But I think coaching is something different based upon what I've learned and seen people talk about on social media. So I would definitely say confidence and a know-how.
And then what would confidence look like and feel like?
It would feel like I'm not letting somebody down when it comes down to the things that they want to achieve in their life.
And what would give you the feeling that you were able to lead people instead of letting them down?
Well, I mean, I've done it for 24 years. I mean, I can lead people. For me, it's not a question of leadership. It's more so of helping them to understand that they can lead themselves. So, it's like, if I can say it, it's like, for me, a transfer of confidence from me into them. But I don't think I'm equipped if I am questioning myself now. Now, I want everybody to understand, as I'm role playing, these are some of the thoughts I actually had back then. Go ahead.
But you already said that you have proof and evidence that you've been able to do it for 24 years. You have leadership skills. You know your topic and your knowledge. What tools do you feel that you don't have yet to be equipped?
I think, to answer that question, it would be the ability to ask another person a question and ensure that I'm not asking out of the space of curiosity, but I'm asking out of a space that drives them to progressively come up with their own answers. Okay, I think I just cheated a little bit just now. I'm sorry.
And what gives you the impression that you wouldn't be able to do that?
I don't know, because I've never done that. See, every in the past, every counseling session was based upon like a scripted understanding of military progression.
Mm.
So I knew the questions to ask them, but I don't necessarily know the progressive nature of your life because there is no blueprint to your life, right?
Mhm.
Your life specifically. So asking them questions is one thing, asking you a question would be something totally different.
So, what do you need to do in order to feel like you are equipped to ask those questions?
I think that is someplace, the answer to that question exists someplace between knowledge and experience, if I'm being honest. I think there's more that I need to know in order to be able to do it. And then there are lessons that I need to learn from the experience as well.
So then I would ask, what do you need to know?
But I don't know. I don't know what it was.
How would you know? How would you find out?
Exactly, right? So I don't know what I don't know. And I think that's where I might be stuck, right? Because I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know. But I also know what I don't know. So maybe that's the starting place. Maybe the starting place is for me to discover the things that I don't know based upon me knowing that I don't know it.
Uh-huh. I mean, I can ask you a whole bunch of more
I
questions
know.
to just kind of guide you or whatever, but
Right. But listen, if I may, I love what you did, right? And I like the fact that I picked up on it early too, because I think that's kind of like what that looks like, right? Um, I think no one defines goal for another person. That person must define what goal, like GOLD, y'all. That person must define what gold look like for themselves. So even in that, and I love her line of questioning because she refused to own the answer. She kept putting it back on me as she was supposed to do. That's how it works, right? Um, and for me, I always say if you have never formally defined success, then you're going to struggle going to getting to gold, right? You must define success for yourself. And for me, I've came up with a definition of success, and I don't care what arena I go to, that definition works. And I did it after understanding Earl Nightingale's definition, right? The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Um, that to me kind of stuck with me when it comes down to success. And I was like, okay, well, in that definition, although I like that definition, I don't think I would ever come to the realization if accomplishing it is a thing. So it keeps me stuck in the arena of a worthy idea. So as long as I have a worthy idea, that's the level of success. But then there's another level of success and so forth and so on. So okay, now it's levels to it. So the definition for me was getting to the point to understand the thing that I was created to do, then becoming a master at the thing that I created to do, then serve the people that I was destined to serve, doing the thing that I was created to do. But then I had to realize that there was another level to it, and that other level to it refuses to accept that there's a cap on serving the people that I was created to serve, doing the thing that I was created to do. So now it's like discovery, mastery, serving,
hmm.
then teaching. Because it can't end at just serving. It has to be at teaching. So now the fourth part of it is teaching the thing that I was created to do to other people who are created to do it. And for me, that equates to alchemy. How long does this here take? I don't know. I can't tell you because it's a point, and this might be the first time I'm saying it publicly. There is a spark in me that has a desire to train future aspiring coaches, people who want to be coaches, mindset coaches specifically. I can't train them on EFT tapping. I'm gonna send them to Andrea for that, right? But for people who want to be mindset coaches, like that's something I aspire to do because I think in the realm of, and I'm just saying it this way, in the realm of pop-up coaches, that don't have the credentialing to support the title that they've given themselves, I think they are grossly failing the population of people who desire coaching.
Mm,
Um, so, my long-winded response.
yeah. Well, I think like the thing is that there are certifications and coach trainings, and there are people who have like um a lot of experience in something and they can become a coach and they can help train people. And then there's also, unfortunately, in the coaching industry, like these $7 coaching certificates, which as you said, I mean, does a disservice to the people who need coaching, because like I did not have a coach until uh I guess I'm 46, like 6 years ago. And
Mhm.
I think now I'm like, God, I wish, like, what would I have been like if, like, look at how many things that I've been able to do in like 6 years. Like, what if in my 20s I had a coach?
Right.
Because, like, I mean, it's such an incredible resource to have somebody be able to sit down, hold you accountable, help you figure out what you want. Because the thing is, like, I am curious, but I also have a lot of ideas. And so I need also somebody to kind of rein me in. And,
Yep.
the coach, having a coach that's just like, okay, so you're saying this and you want this, but you're saying, so where's your priority? And you're like, good point.
Mhm.
and
Absolutely.
and just having somebody be able to help you figure out your, the direction that you want to go to is just so valuable.
Yeah.
And especially the confidence part, and just having somebody that believes in you and somebody that's going to hold you accountable, so you don't just have all these ideas that you're like, no, I'm going to do this. And they're like, when are you going to do this? And you're like, I'm going to do it. And they're like, when? You're like,
Yeah.
Monday. They're like, okay,
There you go.
okay. We said Monday. So I'm calling you Monday. You
Yep.
better get it. And because we need that accountability, because otherwise, everything is just a nice idea, but it's not, it has to go through the progression, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that
Um,
idea that you would be teaching people to be better mindset coaches and stuff like that. I think the world
yeah.
needs it, and by
Well,
your leadership, it'd be amazing.
yeah, I mean, it's something I'm still chewing on, right? And it's not a fully formulated idea. Like it's the concept is in my mind. The details not just yet. So there will come a point in time where the details are fully furnished, and then I will start trying to put, pen to paper and just trying to see what that looks like on the grand scale of things. And then, of course, I will put it out there. And then for those people who want to go further into mindset coaching, which I think is just awesome, by the way.
Mhm.
And I also think it's awesome when it's coupled with other specialties as well.
Mhm.
I think as you guys will listen to us talking, you could hear within the lines of conversation how mindset coaching and EFT tapping works phenomenally great together. And I think it's just a awesome field to be in. But I'm just I am concerned, if you will, about like we just talked about pop-up coaches, just overnight 7-day certification, no practicality. Say, hey, come to me and I charge
Mhm.
$150 an hour, and it's like you have no relevant experience. To where, you have people like you and I who not only have the credentialing, we have the time, we also have a degree to support it as well. So it's like, wow. Um, so yeah, great. Listen, I greatly appreciate you dedicating this amount of time to this conversation. Um, are there
My
any
pleasure.
other are there any other thoughts that you wanna share with people? And before you do that, we're gonna put all of her information in the show notes, so make sure that you check the show notes, follow her on Facebook, any other social media she has out there. Go to her website. She has a blog on there. I think it's just awesome. I think you guys will find great value in the blog that she puts out. Okay, I'm too much. There you go. The floor is yours. Any other last words you wanna share with the people?
Yeah, no, just yeah, like I said, like if any of this resonate with you, please like follow me on my social medias. Mr. Dwayne Dwyer will be putting that information below. But also, I'm in the process of creating, a heartbreak to healing community for, my program and everything, to give people like the community support and the resources to be able to heal through heartbreak. Because I know firsthand, like, I mean, it really does take a lot out of you. And it's important to be able to lean on other people that are going through the same thing while also having guidance. And that's something that, like, I just, when I thought about it, I was like, okay, what's what I wish I would have had. And
Yeah.
and I wish I had like a community and some kind of a a proper program to kind of go through my healing journey instead of the way that that I was, left to my own devices. Although in experiencing that and being able to use EFT, I was able to figure out what kind of touch points were extremely important to kind of look at and things to heal and release and to be able to have that emotional relief to move forward and be able to find my feet again and feel like I was, the confident and powerful person that I aspire to be.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, if you're going through that, then please follow me and stay tuned because I'm really putting together something amazing and I would love for people to join it.
Awesome. I love it. Um, Let me say, on behalf of the Mindset Academy, thank you again for gracing us with your presence. As always, she never disappoints. And you have a open door. Anytime you want to come back, you are welcome to come back. Even if you just wake up and say, "Hey, I just had this thought of a conversation we can have." Great, let's do it. I'm telling you right now, my answer is great. Let's do it. Um,
Really, you are a person with like so much like a wealth of knowledge and life experience and kindness and empathy and and leadership skills that it's always a pleasure talking to you. I mean, we can always
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. I'm glad you think so. I don't think so. We're all our worst.
You don't
We're
need to be
our own worst critics, right? And so that's very humbling to hear. I greatly appreciate that. And like I said previously, it's my desire to take those things and package it up and serve the people. And I think we're living in a time and space to where that's a necessity. People are hurting. Man,
yeah.
people are hurting, and they need a voice of reason. So thank you for saying that. Listen, before I get all teary eyed, thank you again. Listen, you guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of my special guest, Miss Andrea Hunt, my name is Dwayne Dwyer, the mindset coach. Listen, you guys, let the best version of yourself be a blessing to somebody else, and we will see you guys next week on Coach's Corner.